I mean, to be fair, like my biggest gripe so far with like how they've been handling, especially the PR stuff, is generally just the lack of transparency and the fact that it's like, oh, there isn't any problems, guys. It's gonna be fine, and then it's just like, do you just not understand that all these concerns are genuine things people are upset by?
Mhm.
Welcome to the BOF Podcast. I'm joined by Stret
Right.
and Genesis today. We're
Oh,
going
you
to be
know.
talking about payday3 and the whole state of what's happening with Overkill and all of the fantastic implementations.
This is technically a collab because I do my own stuff. As you call me, Genesis. Hello, it's your boy Fank here. I am also a person. It's like,
Yes,
yeah, I do things. I'm on the internet.
he
I'll
does
have
different.
I'll have a I have a specifically console related discussion video up. So
Yeah, that is one
yeah,
of our topics today. We're
that's one of our
gonna.
topics. Yeah, that's one of the main ones. So that's probably going to be like all the. I'm gonna have like a proper in depth thing on my own with my own thoughts and opinions there on
Yeah.
my channel. But this is not about me. This is about everything.
We're gonna
So,
go through offline mode and the impact of always online. We're gonna go through the quality of life features added and removed compared to the other games in the series. Console implementation, which is your area. You're gonna go off on a rant about that probably in a few minutes.
yeah, I'm probably gonna really lose my goddamn fucking fluffy ass mind on that. Can't wait.
We're also
Favorite.
just going to do general thoughts on Payday 2, what we think of the game, and things we like and things we don't
You
like.
say
that
2,
sort of
not
area.
3.
Huh?
You say payday 2, not payday 3.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
did
Payday
I-
3.
Did I say 2?
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to say anything
Okay,
because I
yes.
thought you'd realise.
We're on. Don't forget, guys. We're on Payday 3. Yes,
Payday
Payday 3.
The third one, the newest one. Anyway, let's get into the first topic. Offline mode and the impact of always online. This is a rant that everyone has, so we might as well have ours.
Jesus, this is gonna be
Right.
a long one.
Right, who wants to go first on their thoughts and feelings?
I will start, and then I'll let you guys come in with your thoughts about.
All right,
what the
take
things.
take the wheel. Take the wheel, Mister.
Oh, I am
UF
I'm
on
gonna take the wheel.
alternator.
I'm gonna drive this right into the wall.
Yeah, please do not.
So, offline mode, it's something that Overkill have sort of said they may be working on. Like, I was looking on their FAQ website, and one of the things was, are you adding offline mode? And it literally says, we have not started working on offline as of yet.
To be fair,
the-
didn't people find like skeletons and systems for offline games and
Yeah,
self-hosting that
that-
stuff into
Yeah,
codes?
It is
through
posted.
Yeah, through debugging, people found CrimeNet and an offline system.
There
Yeah,
is.
so they literally lied about it because they have like physically looked at it.
Yeah, there is
So-
literally CrimeNet browser and Play Solo or offline.
Do you think the always online could have been a decision pushed by the publisher?
Some people are saying Deep Silver wanted it implemented. I'm not entirely sure of the full story behind the situation, but I imagine it was to stop like pirates and gain more money and things. However,
Yeah,
It doesn't stop
it
piracy,
hasn't.
but
It hasn't done
it's-
that though.
I mean, it stops you from like cheating like currency and stuff as effectively, but it does nothing for piracy because your game only needs the Nebula account, so it doesn't matter whether your copy is legitimate or not.
Mm.
It just does not make sense to have it always online. Like, it just hurts the game more than anything else, if I'm totally honest, because of network issues.
Yeah, let's just say first things first. This basically puts the game on its deathbed already. It's already 1 foot in the grave. Because the absolute microsecond servers go down, it shuts off the entire player base, not just a few people.
Yeah, that's true. Like, nobody will be able to log in and play at all.
It's essentially just a suicide note.
Let's see.
Anyway,
So, Overkill have said, even though it's already been in the game and we've seen screenshots of that, they say it's on the table, so they're sort of working on it, but not really. It's like on the back burner, I guess.
My current theory on that is they basically want to just kind of act like they've not done it yet, and it's more like oh guys, we are going to do it, just give us a bit of time because we haven't ironed it out, even though it is practically already finished. It's more like they're just trying to buy time. They'd be like, I think I'm just a bit paranoid about how they're gonna make it work properly, if that makes sense. Like, are they going to be able to implement everything that works? Are they going to be able to get everything together right? Are they able to just... Actually, I think you sent me something earlier. I'll pull it up now.
What was that about?
The CrimeNet server browser, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they specifically said this isn't something we're not looking into at the moment. We're looking at a quick play option that lets
let
you
the quick play.
But not returning the old CrimeNet browser. From a lore standpoint, that makes no sense.
The quick play is actually a decent solution because if you're gonna stick to the shitty matchmaking.
I mean, yeah, if you're gonna stick to the shite matchmaking, then yeah, go for it. But from a lore standpoint, that makes no sense because CrimeNet never got shut down in.
Well, they clearly gave up on paying a lot of attention to team and aesthetic in this game, so I think it makes sense. Like, I don't think they're worried about it that much.
No, from an aesthetic graphic design standpoint, 100%, it makes one.
Not talking about just graphic design, like team and stuff, concepts, but I don't think they really care much anymore.
I honestly, I feel like they stopped caring a long time ago.
I assume a lot of people making the system like aren't really very in touch with the old games and their soul in general. That's just my feeling about it. So that explains a lot about the matchmaking.
They're a lot more in tune with like something else entirely.
I just say something about the quick play as well. It really hurt my brain reading that's what their new solution is to the lobby browser. Is just quick play.
Yeah. Like, hey guys, we have a solution. What's the solution? Nothing.
It doesn't help it. I never used quick play in Payday 2. Like,
no, I didn't.
It's just technically the matchmaking is already quick play, so why would you implement a new matchmaking system like that?
Yeah.
It doesn't. It annoys me.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, going off what you said all about, like, you never use the quick play in Payday 2. I don't think I've ever touched it in both. Like, I don't think I ever even realized it was in the game.
There was no reason. I mean, a bunch of people used it, but there was no reason for quick play in Payday 2 because CrimeNet was better. But like, if you're gonna have the matchmaking like this, then the quick play is essential.
Yeah, that I think I can agree with that. Yeah, if they're gonna commit to this arse system, they might as well implement something that at least curbs it a little.
I think I'm right in saying as well, going back to the always online thing, that's the main reason the game is suffering now with mostly negative reviews. Like, what do you guys think? Like, do you think that's the main reason, or is it something else?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's the main reason. I'd say it's 100% a contributor to that, but it's not the main reason.
See, because to me, I think this is a fantastic game, but the online has just ruined it completely. Like, especially when you're playing a heist and you get matchmaking error and it kicks you out and back to the main menu.
Padlock stuff does.
It's just so stupid.
I think, to me, I mean, going on what you said about the negative reviews, I think Always Online is a contributor to it. It's not the main thing. I think the main thing was it kind of, not really the same situation, but it's a similar situation to what happened to I don't know if you heard of what happened to Plants vs Zombies Battle for Neighborhood, but that game got fucked so hard because it was like, it got hyped for a year and it died overnight because it was just a very poorly thought out system. I don't think the same thing is happening here, but I think a similar thing is happening where the game has been hyped up for so long and then it launched so poorly that it's just handicapped it.
Yeah, definitely didn't help when the servers went off over playtime weekend. especially for console. I think we'll get to that, but in terms of servers, the console servers suffered the worst, I think, because it was just a letdown. They were promised so much and given so little.
at least PC players got to actually jump on. But it didn't help that people were still getting, like, basically just cut out from the game for no reason.
Yeah, you guys were on a different patch, weren't you?
Yeah, we were on early beta patch, well, like a late beta patch, where there were basically no heists in the game at all. Hell, I mean, when I picked up the game, I couldn't even get in, like, for the whole day. It was down for the whole day. It wasn't until the third day of launch that I could actually play the game properly.
Even when the servers are up, I had a lot of issues with the matchmaking. Like, it's when you have so many playlists of different heists, also split into different difficulties, it can get so difficult to find a game on overkill or very hard difficulty. Like, I was constantly drawn into matches with only one person, and that being me. And once I was alone in a lobby, it felt like pretty much nobody ever joined. So I could even play solo by doing that, even if when my lobby was public.
Yeah, you wouldn't even be able to, like, join properly. I mean, I don't play with
That's the
randoms.
thing, like, I think they should just, if they could just make the matchmaking for one heist, like remove the difficulty queue and just make it for the heist entirely, and then the game just keeps giving you options to join whatever games it finds, so you can keep denying games until you find one in the difficulty you desire.
Yeah.
Or maybe just scrap the matchmaking altogether.
Revising it might be a better solution.
I would want the crime net back, honestly.
Yeah,
like,
if it were down to me, I'd ask for CrimeNet to just come
You
back.
could also be able to queue for different things at once, but the tier for the foundation definitely doesn't allow that at all. That's why, yeah, scrap everything.
Multi-queuing might be an issue. I mean, it reminds me too much of how TF2 handled it, because multi-queuing in TF2 is fun. Like, it's alright, but the biggest issue I have with that system is the fact that, like, you can't control whether you're put into a match in progress or not. It's a different game entirely, but it's kind of a similar idea where it's like, you're either getting into a heist that's basically done, so you don't even get to play, or you're put in somewhere that's just too out of your league, so you just, again, you can't play. So there's no real control over, like, I don't mind, like, not being, like, a difficulty, you can just, like, wait till you get one that is, but I'd rather there be a system where you can find specifically what you're looking for, without risking running into something that you just won't enjoy. Alright, on to quality of life features, both added and removed. I guess I'll start this one.
yeah, go ahead.
I think the worst quality of life feature they got rid of was being able to fully edit your loadouts. Like, you can to an extent, but it's not as, like, intuitive as Payday 2's.
You mean like the weapon leveling system?
Kind of, yeah. I kind
think
of do miss the old system.
I think by far the worst thing that is missing is lobby chat, which people have talked about a lot.
God, yeah, that's, like, the biggest thing for me. It's, like, there's no communication at all. It is just binds that say, like, very specific things.
I mean, like, you can chat, but, like, if you're in the lobby, there's no way you can actually contact people who are in game already, so you can ask them how's the state of things and what they want.
Yeah, like, you can't be like, hey, is this stealth allowed? Do we need X weapon gear? This, that, the other.
It's like such a downgrade. Like, you had the old, more charming lobby screen with the cartoon in the background. You had the lobby chat for talking to people. You could see more of the stats. You could, like, even draw stuff in pre-planning.
Yeah,
now you don't really have anything. You just hope people are more or less in sync.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. To bounce off of that and make it a bigger point, the pre-planning menu, biggest loss. I loved the pre-planning menu. It was the best thing. Being able to fully communicate with your team what you wanted to do in the heist, where you'd want to go, what routes you should take, where you can, like, if you can remember where guards are, you can easily tell your team, hey, these are parts we should avoid until later. It was such a useful mechanic, and the fact that it's missing just really ruins this game.
Some people would say the pre-planning screen was useless and that nobody used it, which is true to some extent, that it was underused by a lot of people, but
Yeah.
a lot of people playing with friends made use of it. It was memorable, it was fun, and, like, I don't think there's any reason not to have such a thing. I think the aesthetic is not the main reason I dislike pre-planning, though. The lack of it. I mean, like, the issue is not pre-planning specifically. It's because by ditching pre-planning, they ditched, like, any like alternate escapes, alternate breach methods. So you have these very good heists without the variety of something like Big Bang, which should be the golden standard for me of a heist.
Yeah, like for me, it was the fact that it was like you could approach the same heist in multiple different ways. Like with Bullock's Mansion, you could come in through the boat near the bottom, or you could come in through the top. You could, or like Golden Grin, you had two different loud entries and then a silent entry as well that were all different, and it changed dramatically how you approach the heist. Because you could speed it up with C4s in the limo for the loud approach, and it speeds up the heist, but you lose more favors. So you have to think about what else you can sacrifice to make that play. Whereas here, it's like, do you want zipline bags, or do you want medic bags?
I don't like how the pre-planning was useful for getting to know the heist as well. Like, it had the layout and everything, and on this, the best you can do is like wander around. Maybe use the security cameras or something.
And those tiny little snippets at the start before you actually get into gameplay.
Which do not help whatsoever.
Yeah, they don't show you. They show you like a very basic premise, and then it's just on your own from there. Which, to be fair, like Payday the Heist was similar, but the thing is, like, I don't think that game deserves to be brought up in terms of discussions because it's the first of the series. It's the experiment. It's the boat in the waters.
Yeah, I don't get how people sometimes make the argument of not comparing to some other. This reminds me, like, people say you can't compare PD3 to Payday 2, and it never made sense to me. Like,
No, you can
why
compare...
does the game need? Why does Payday 3 need to throw out 10 years of such obvious, easy quality of life changes, or, like, wasn't the game supposed to evolve? Like, why is it? Why do we need to wait even more for it to really grow?
I think the approach that I'm trying to get across here is like. Payday 2 to Payday 3, compare away, right? But Payday the Heist to Payday 3, different stories. Because one's the very start, one's the very end. You can't really make the jump without properly actually, like, addressing what you're getting across. Like, for example, it's like, Payday the Heist had no pre-planning, it had barely any customization, it had a lot of lacking stuff that Payday 2 had. But the problem is, again, it was the first of its kind, it was the experiment, it was the test. Whereas Payday 2 was the full-on... Here is the full thing in action. So I think it's more fair to judge Payday 2 to Payday 3. And especially about quality of life. Like, holy fuck. Payday 2 improved so much about the first game. And had the whole first game in it.
Thing is, though, I honestly feel like Payday 3 isn't a sequel to Payday 2, but more of a sequel to Payday the Heist.
It does feel that way, yeah. It does feel like that.
Because all the superpower stuff from Payday 2 is gone. And it's like back to basics again.
Yeah, there's nothing like drinking a hip flash to just recover your health.
Yeah,
But I also
good.
I feel it's 50-50 because like there's still a big spam of really brainless cops that are individually usually pretty weak, so that's more like Payday 2. And the skills are being really like there's no Giga superpowers, but they're also very arcade-y, or like they aren't mechanical upgrades, so they really help make the game have that silly atmosphere that Payday 2 had.
Yeah, I do prefer the seriousness of Payday 3. What switches over?
Oh, blue.
Blue, right. Yeah, actually, that's a good point, just making that comment now. Back on the menus, you know, like, again, like, I'm hoping they implement these soon at some point, but the fact that I have to, like, me and Alt have to physically communicate, and if we weren't in this chat, I would have no idea what switch it is, like...
Yeah, there's no voice chat on console, is there?
There's no voice chat, period.
Oh, there isn't? Oh, not even in the PC version?
I don't think so. I don't think Starfreeze are that good at making...
There's no VC in general, yeah.
Yeah, it's awful.
Oh yeah, there isn't?
So, you know, that's another point.
Jesus.
God damn, lack of communication in-game ruins heist coordination.
That is absolutely shocking. I thought that voice controls were at least in the PC version.
You want voice controls? Here's one. There you go, there it is. That's your voice control. The fact that you have a bind circle that has very basic things like wait here, request health, request ammo.
Oh,
I swear.
Yeah.
Swearing at the drill, saying hello.
I think the chat wheel, like the stuff you can say, is nice. It should complement the rest. Like, I feel there's more to communicate than you can do in Payday 2. I understand most people didn't like to use VC much in random lobbies, so yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like,
the chat wheel.
Like, it should be fixed. It should be fixed. Yeah. There has to be VC, but It's far from my main complaint when it comes to communication.
Yeah, I mean the chat wheel isn't awful, but it really doesn't cover the things that you'd need. Like swearing at the drill and swearing in general, not really things you need. I think the chat wheel should kind of just be reserved for useful stuff. So like requesting health and ammo, and maybe instead of swearing at the drill, requesting armor from your teammates.
Yeah, you can't
Or,
even
like-
you can't do that, can you actually?
Yeah,
I
you
think
can't.
I think having a lot of miscellaneous or fun dialogue options are important. Like a lot of online games have drives off of simple voice commands and other ways to communicate things that aren't exactly
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I need this. I gotta do this." More like just fun stuff. I think
I-
Payday 3 will benefit from having good iconic voice lines so that the players can do it well.
Yeah, like
So I
I'm
don't
not entirely against it, but I just think it would be a little nice to have some more useful stuff as well. Like, not get rid of them entirely. Good God, no. But maybe sort of like the follow me command, which you can do anyway by just looking at a teammate and then pressing up on the D-pad or whatever the bind is on PC. Replacing stuff like follow me and wait here with just either holding the interact button on someone to tell them to wait there, or tapping it to follow you, and then holding when you actually hold it down when not looking at them, you can have we'll have the funny stuff as well. So you can have the useful stuff and the funny stuff at the same time. All right, well, we've talked a lot about what's been removed. Let's talk about what they've added that is good. And straight off the bat, I think one thing that I absolutely adore is the system with like the mines where you have the same button do so many different things. It's such a nice thing to not have to memorize like what holding certain inputs does what, or like what keys do what. You just have the same inputs held to different things. And honestly, also the overkill weapon. Gotta say, that's probably my new favorite thing.
I don't like the system. I think it can be very awkward to get it. A lot of people don't like it for a reason. Like the guns aren't as impactful as they think. I think I would much prefer a third weapon slot, like a dedicated pistol slot or whatever.
I mean, yeah, like I think a dedicated tertiary weapon might be nice.
Yeah, like maybe you can have like two weapons of. You can have a bigger weapon or two smaller weapons. I don't know.
With the current system, I would prefer the overkill weapons to do a lot more than they currently do.
Yeah, they aren't good. Like the grenade launcher just playing weak compared to most games and what the same weapon did in Payday 2. Yeah, it's so much more limited.
I mean, to be fair, the build variety in Payday 3 is not right. I love that a little bit.
I'm surprised they didn't just give us free weapons like in Payday the Heist.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
Because I did see at one point that they were going to add a third weapon, and then it came with this overkill system, which is just like, why?
I mean, at first I was like, okay, right, this is cool. But now, like hearing this and then really thinking about it, it's not only it. What hurts the most? There are only two in the game. One is a thermal scope sniper. The other is a grenade launcher that kills you more than the cops.
That's true. Like.
Actually, yeah.
True,
To be
that's
fair,
true.
a good example of this is literally earlier in the day. Me and Alt were playing Golden Shark, in Loud. I got the grenade launcher and I got down from miles away by my own grenade, and no one died. It was awful. Like, why the fuck? The overkill system is fundamentally flawed. It is not a very well implemented system.
I tell you one thing though, I really do enjoy the new stealth system. Like maybe that's just me, but I find it really, really nice.
Yeah.
I'm 50-50 about it, cause like the new stuff it does is pretty nice, but on the other hand, it can get, I feel like, not as deep and instead a lot more shallow and lame as it could be, because like they made casing mode so OP, they tripled down the pager system, they completely killed crowd control as a concept. Like instead of having like, for example, the bank where I gotta wait for the guards to move, only have two pagers on the hard difficulty, be completely unable to interact with the front of the bank. I would rather have some more missions like Go Bank, which feel dynamic, unpredictable, like management, like that actually feels more like a heist instead of
Yeah.
just when you triple down the picture system and and you just kind of in the way they did and kill ground control. You just like increase what was lame about Payday 2 stealth. Yeah, other than the waiting, that is mostly gone. That part's good.
The most aggravating thing for me is the implementation of the changes, like the changes and stuff that you mentioned. I'm gonna elaborate a little bit more. Um, with the, I think my biggest gripe is I recorded a small thing a little while ago for all that we didn't end up using because Google's fucking bitch. But basically, it was a clip using the skill Stockholm syndrome that shows that you don't have to hogtie every civilian to have full control of the bank, and it still felt like I had like complete control of stealth the whole time. But here it's like there's no indicate. I mean, earlier today, a civ escaped and called the guards on us during a stealth run in Payday 3. We weren't told that they were alerted. We weren't even told how they got out.
Yeah, the game doesn't really
Yeah.
have much feedback. Like if
There
you
was-
go to hear things properly, it will be fine. But
Yeah.
like I understand seeing an indicator across the map is kind of stupid, but if
Yeah.
you can see, if you sometimes you just can't see anything.
I'd rather at least know what the hell went wrong than just all of a sudden having everything go wrong. Because even Bane would have said like a civilian's trying to escape or something, but Shade doesn't talk. She barely says anything, and it actually kind of gets on my nerves because there's no communication at all. If they wanted this to feel like an evolution, it's kind of not really feeling that way because Shade barely talks, and when she does, it's never really anything that helps. At least that's how it feels to me.
I think she's lame, like lacks good emotion and stuff. It's not nowhere as good as Bane or locking his good days.
Like even in Payday the Heist, Bane had emotion. Like he still he sounded way more serious than Payday 2,
was
but he
great,
still
he was
had
great.
jokes. Like with the
I think no, I mean like just being cool in general. Like was said, Payday 3 is dropping a lot of good teams, good aesthetics, good soul from the game. And, like people don't remember the aesthetics and themes of Payday 3 anywhere as much. The most iconic things are like that the server's fucking it up, or it's just like, the shooting is cool, I guess. But you don't
Yeah.
see people praising the characters as much or making good jokes about it.
I mean, the biggest thing that really miffed me about Payday 3 was the fact that we were getting hyped up about this whole, wow, look at this game, guys, look at how, look at this evolution. It's like, even the height, like, the biggest thing for me as well, the characters, they don't feel like them. Like, not how they look, but how they actually interact. It feels empty, devoid of life. Like, they don't even, like, in Payday 2, they never talked to Bane, like, ever. But that was just because it felt more arcadey or something. I don't fucking know. But in Payday the Heist, they talked to Bane. And the thing is, they were trying to emulate the style of Payday the heists, with them feeling more cinematic and more grand. But they end too quickly. Like, they come and go too fast. And they don't communicate with Shade. They don't give us any feedback. It's just like we're being talked at rather than talked with.
Like, being in stealth, I enjoy how it's not as much based on bullshit RNG. So,
Yeah.
the guard that spots you, if you're in like a private area rather than a secure area, he won't like instantly raise the alarm. And there's different things that can trigger different aspects of it as well. So like if you get caught by a camera and you move away from the camera, the guard will come and search it and then come to cuff whoever it was. But if you stay near the camera, he'll just come and escort you out instead.
Yeah.
Which is quite a nice feature, I found anyway.
Yeah, the escort system's way better. I love the escort system. It just means that a stealth run isn't fucked if you get caught.
It's definitely something from Payday 2 that used to annoy me, like instantly failing stealth just because you went round that corner too early or you stepped out and it was the completely wrong time, you know.
Yeah, when we tried to speedrun Death Sentence Shadow Rain, we got fucked at the very end because of like a random ass god turned a corner and we couldn't get out of the way too fast. It's just like a whole run ruined because one of us just couldn't get out of the way quick enough. Where here it's like, same thing happens, you're not fucked. Right.
Oh, this is, speaking of quality of life, grabbing bodies and just taking them with you.
Yeah, it's so nice.
Like, instead of using body bags and having to leave a guard in the middle of nowhere, it's such an improvement just to, like, take care of your problems. Basically.
Actually, yeah. Yeah, I also want to say something about loud. Taking human shields. Honestly, I really like the idea. Having an actual like way of protecting yourself and having the cops resist shooting straight away means that you have more like opportunities to just not fuck up.
Would you say you actually use it though? Like, is it effective enough?
I do find myself using it quite a bit. I don't rely on it, but I definitely find myself using it to get out of certain situations. At least I do. I feel like it's one of those things that's more there if you need it rather than there to just be there. Trading hostages for time and resources is also nice. I quite like that.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about
Resources need changing because medkits aren't really that useful.
yeah, I also don't like that you only get one bag as well to throw down.
Yeah.
As in Payday 2 you could place medkits around, like first aid kits here and there, and you got 14 of them as well. But on here you have like one location and that's it. That's all you have.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't Payday the Heist have a system where you could unlock two of the same bag, so you weren't completely fucked if you put one down?
Not that I recall.
I'll have to look into that.
I believe it was just the one. That's why
I mean,
said
still, it's better
earlier, like, about this being a sequel to Payday the Heist, because it definitely feels like it.
Yeah. I guess like going off what you said about like the bag system, I think the worst thing that they changed was 100% the again, like you said, you know, you put that thing down, you will have to commit to it. But with but like I think my biggest gripe was the fact that it was like it seems to me that you run out of charges quicker. I can't feel like I'm the only person that's like the cops seem to have a bit of a too strong of a buff. Just because it's like you'll recover your armor with an ammo bag and then it will just be shredded immediately by two cops and that's it.
The thing is as well, you can't recover the full armor with one armor bag. You need to use it about twice or whatever.
Yeah.
Even with skills, like you can only regenerate 2 at a time. Which is just, why?
The max you can have is 4, so
You can have 4. With the skills though, you can only regenerate 2 armor chunks at a time.
which means that you'll still be using up half of it, like nearly like a third of the armor bag every time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is a massive. What the fuck is that guy doing? Well, you know how we were talking about the AI?
Mm-hmm.
Well, clearly that was an example of it being weird.
I don't even know where he came from.
He just ran straight past me. He literally, it said detected on my end, or at least it looked like it, and he just did that. He just came running. I have no idea what happened.
Weird.
I mean, yeah, that's another point to make. The somewhat improved AI, I guess, not really improved, more changed. Like, let's not beat around the bush. Payday 2's AI was fucking stupid. They were brain dead, they were dumb, and they just didn't work. I mean, for
It
God's
used to
sake.
be much better though, back into games older days. They dumped it down a lot.
Yeah, no, they botched it by the end.
I think like payday3 could definitely have an AI closer to something like Crackdown that has actual strategy. I think everyone would have welcomed that. But instead the AI is really simple, and that'll be fine, but despite the AI being really simple, the performance is really bad, so I gotta complain about that.
I mean, yeah, I think the main thing is also just like how it mainly the quality of life, good or bad, it all comes down to how it's implemented, right? How it all came together. And really, it feels like someone kind of took a bunch of Play-Doh and then glued it together. If that makes sense.
It's probably the best explanation of it, to be fair.
It just feels like a child has just eaten Play-Doh for the first time and has discovered that shit is gourmet. if I had to describe the gameplay styles, stealth feels like an improvement over 2, but doesn't really feel that much of a stretch. And loud basically just feels like a modern Payday the Heist. So there's practically nothing that I kind of hate. The new bulldozer charge is nice, but I will say something about the designs. God fucking damn, I hate the new taser now.
Oh, the zapper, yeah.
Zapper sounds way too kid-friendly. Look how it's a zapper. No, it's a fucking taser. He is the fucking Spark Man. Alright? And the bulldozers. The bulldozers look like regular ass cops. They sound different, but they look the same. They blend in. I liked when the bulldozers were these massive threats that just loomed over you.
I think you look fine. Payday 2 were kind of silly how they were like in a bomb suit and that instead of
It was
You
more
know.
intimidating.
I mean, I find the
To be fair, I
bulldozers
would've-
to be alright, to be honest. I can tell the difference quite easily from normal cops. Like, they
I
do
think
stand
I'm just-
out.
I think it is just down to personal preference at the end of the day. Like, for me, I'm someone who's very
I think it's
design
a skill
focused.
issue.
I like skill issue. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's a personal thing. So really, I can't fault the game for it. I like the new cloakers. I think they look really nice. I like the new cloaker design. And I like the Grenadier. I think the Grenadier is one of my favorite looking cops. I'm dead serious about that. I think the Grenadier looks awesome. Genuinely intimidating and genuinely a threat. I barely hear them though. Like, is it just me? Like, does anyone barely hear the Grenadier talk?
Sometimes, like, you can definitely hear certain audio cues from him, but he doesn't talk much.
Kind of like how he doesn't talk much. It adds more seriousness to it, in my opinion. I like it when the cloaker talks shit when he pins you. That's nice. I do like the new voice lines, the new designs. They aren't awful. My only gripe is the bulldozer, but I was never really bothered by it to begin with. It was just a slight gripe I had.
While we're in here as well, what do you think of the new lockpick system?
Oh, thank fucking God. You cannot understand how annoying it was to be stealthing, just trying to grind like money or infamy, and you just be sat there in a bank heist, just waiting like either 20 or like 11 seconds per lockpick, just sat there not pressing any buttons. This is a huge step up.
I like it then, it's not awkward timing or anything on console.
No, it's actually perfectly fine. It's got a rhythm to it. It feels like whenever I fuck it up, it's my fault.
Ooh,
I'm not able to hit it dead center. I'm not able to hit it dead center every time, but I'm able to hit it most of the time.
Yeah.
I think my only real issue with like my final like two things of what I like, what an addition I like and a removal I hate. I guess well, besides the lot, I guess the lot picking is what I'd say for my like new favorite thing that they've added in terms of quality of life. Actually, no, another thing, I like how you can't one-man domination the entire map in stealth.
Yeah, like, even this is a good example
I will
because
say,
it will set off the die packs if you are solo.
that's the thing, like, in Payday 2, it was like, it was nice, but I can't lie, it got so soulless and just boring when you basically dominate the whole map, so you were basically free to do whatever you wanted. So if you had friends that had loud weapons, but you were a full stealther, you could solo the entire heist, and they could literally light the place up, and no one would ever alert the cops. Because
That's why I think they should have more stuff like Go Bank that encourages game like multi teamwork like that. And technically, and it still lets you play it solo, but is a lot harder and less comfortable.
yeah,
And instead, you have a far more dynamic system that actually lets you dominate and crowd control like a real heist.
yeah,
And it's a lot more interesting than just giving you 2 pacers so you get fucked and have to wait for guards to move. Like,
yeah. That's
I
like,
I want more dynamic missions like Go Bank because it feels like the game hit a peak of quality for stealthing there in terms of in a specific kind of heist that the game never really reached that before again.
I mean, like, yeah, I can 100% agree with that because when I first did go bank with Alt, I remember when I was first doing it, it was actually like genuinely a good like dynamic duo scenario where one of us was having to manage the phone while the other went into the vault lock picked, and we had to like kind of micromanage who was on the phone, who was getting to the bags of the van. It was a nice system where we also had to deal with the constant civs. And that's what I like about stealth here. It's like, you know, someone's having to deal with something else while the other deals with another thing. It feels like an actual like heist where everyone's playing their part to the best of their abilities. Whereas like Harvest and Trustee, it's more like, okay, you've kind of hogtied the people that will call the cops and you've kind of killed everyone else. And there's no one to call the cops anymore. That's kind of the thing. That's kind of like the main thing about stealth that bugged me in Payday 2. It's just the fact that it was boring for the fact that once you dominated the whole map, there was nothing that could stop you. There was no challenge after that.
It's just waiting around, basically.
Essentially. It was essentially just one glorified bag moving simulator.
Randy, who was saying before as well that they're going to bring in carrying 2 bags at a time?
I don't know, but I'm going to pray that they do that because...
I wasn't sure if it was you or someone else, but somebody mentioned to me that it is in the works that...
They did say they were gonna add like a skill tree or whatever for carrying more shit.
I would like that.
The bag moving simulator, it's getting a bit old if I'm honest. Like, it's okay.
Honestly, it got old the moment Payday 2 launched. It does not feel fun, it is boring, and hulking like 16 bags across a map, especially if you got a crap van spawn, so you had to like basically like the entire map over, was just annoying.
Oh god, flashbacks to Diamond Star and Payday 2.
Don't even. I'm getting PTSD to when you'd get like the back alley spawn in Harvest and Trustee when you're doing Bank Heist Gold.
Yeah, we've got a lot more to talk about.
Exactly, so...
We can go into console implementation if you want, just talking about how you feel the console side of things went for you.
Right, console implementation. Let's start with launch week. The game was unplayable for 3 days straight.
Hell yeah.
All servers were down, and they weren't fixed until day 4. Well, day 3, halfway through day 3, they were fixed. And first impressions were, it ran fine. It wasn't stellar. It lagged a lot, and at one point it did crash twice.
Oh. Yeah, that's not
So, you know, console launch was great. I want to say nice things, but every nice thing I'm going to say is going to come with a harsh negative. Let's start off with the gameplay. On PC, I'm certain it feels fine. You know, just like every other shooter. On console, it is the clunkiest and jankiest thing ever. So, I'm going to prove this right now with walking and fucking looking, alright? Because it is actually... It hurts that it's that backwards, right? So I'm able to slowly walk by slowly holding the left stick in a direction. I'm able to slowly walk and it has a nice acceleration to it. Looking, doing the same thing, it instantly activates a raw input. I cannot slowly turn left, slowly turn right. It is turn left, turn right. Oh, I can't revive you. Oh, but he can.
Let's go.
That's kind of the thing. It doesn't... Why is it that the movement feels right, but the actual looking feels horrendous? Like, I'm not able to turn left, turn right, look up, look down.
One thing I said to you before as well is, like, how does the aim assist feel using that?
It is the twitchiest thing ever. It is... You're adding twitch onto jank and it doesn't work.
You said it just snaps onto the chest, right?
So basically, what it does is, as soon as you kill someone when you're scoped in, it will instantly try to lock to the closest target, and it normally tries to go dead set on their chest. So what I'm assuming is it just looks for the largest hitbox and aims there. But the thing is, it's like, you'll be trying to nail headshots, but but you can't really because it's going to try and force it. So, but combine that with the really jank aiming, you'll try and adjust it so they're looking up, but they can't move up because it's trying to aim assist.
Oh yeah, that. Oh. I pity everyone who uses that on console.
So I pretty much have aim assist off because it doesn't do anything other than get in the way.
It just literally drags your aim down when you're trying to shoot for. Oh, that's horrible sounding.
It basically, especially considering it's on a bar, so if you go into the settings and you go to gameplay, targeting sensitivity goes all the way to 2, which basically makes it stupid. So I normally actually have it set to like 1.7 because it does nothing for some reason when it's on that, or I just have it off entirely because it doesn't help at all. And the thing is, even when you have the stick sensitivity set to a certain level, like I physically will now have to start playing with the stick sensitivity set to just 0.8 because I physically cannot aim properly with it any higher than 1. Because it's so janky and unreal. Like, I've never played a game that physically hurts to play. In terms of, like, just trying to do simple things. And also, yeah, like I said...
Did we mention how you guys got the wrong patch on launch as well?
Yep. Console players, specifically PlayStation, got given a late... assuming a late beta version of the game that had no heists playable. Besides
just the tutorial, yeah.
And that is purely on Sony for publishing the wrong version. But the thing is, it's also on Starbreeze for handing them the wrong version. Because it's both ends. They have to supply it in order for it to get published. No one fucking remembers that. They have to give it to them for them to put it there. Sony fucked up by actually publishing it by not looking at it first, and Starbreeze fucked up by handing them the wrong version entirely. But that's just it. Like, you can't get at Starbreeze you can't get at Sony because they're just a publisher. They are literally only responsible for just pushing out what they've been given. This isn't their game. This is Starbreeze's, and it's not their problem. So when people want to say that Sony gave out the wrong version, Sony fucked up the game, this, that, and the other, it's not up to them. It's not up to Microsoft. It's not up to it's not up to any of the console manufacturers. It is up to Starbreeze what gets pushed. It's up to the publishers to actually put it out there. So, like, for example, everyone who got the Day 1 edition, like me, can't use the Trifactor loot bag until around October 5th because Sony have not implemented the codes yet. They technically don't exist yet in the system. So everyone that has them can't use them. But PC players can use them because they exist there. And that's because Steam is fucking glorious. All hail Gaben, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like that meme will never die. But yeah, that's just generally console payday3. It's a shitfest.
Yeah, sounds fun over there.
It's a god-awful shitfest that I wish no one but me and my best mates have to experience. Because I can't believe it got past people. I probably sounded very far away because I was led in my chair.
That's fine.
But yeah, that's console implementation. It sucked, and it still sucks. And I want them to just hope. I'm just hoping that. I mean, yeah, that's like the biggest thing, though. They were saying non-stop, console is not going to be as bad as Payday 2 was treated, and yet it feels like it's worse than Payday 2. It genuinely feels worse because we already started off with one foot in the grave, right? But now it feels even worse that we're having to wait so long for a simple patch that probably isn't going to fix any of the problems people have with console Payday 3.
How does the matchmaking system work for console players? Is it still fucked?
I was hoping before you finish that sentence, I was hoping I could cut you off by going, it doesn't. Me and my mate in college, we can play just fine, but I've heard all over the internet that people are struggling to find games just in general. Like the game just straight up crashes for some people when trying to.
I was struggling to find you as a
Yeah,
person on console.
Cross-platform has been implemented so badly.
Like, your name did not show up at all in the friend system.
Yeah, I'm able to find you just fine, but you can't find me, which is what hurts. Because the only way you'll ever find me is if I'm actively like in the game. And even then, you struggled finding me. So yeah, console implementation, it was horrible. Yeah, I guess we'll move on to general thoughts as Payday 3 as a whole.
Yeah.
Who wants to start? General thoughts about the game as a whole.
I will go ahead because I'm on the skill system right now. And I just want to say, doing heists and not getting any experience or skill points is painful.
Unless you have challenges done.
Yeah, the challenges. Literally, this is the only way to get experience. I don't believe you get any just for finishing a heist. There is certain challenges for doing heists more than once. Alright, so like, for instance, no rest for... You can only do this one store. So, beat No Rest for the Wicked on Overkill after the assault has started. However, once you've done that, you won't be able to do it again. So what's the point of doing Overkill again? Like, literally, you won't get any more experience. And you'll get experience for the most stupid things, like slide a total distance of 1,000 meters. That's gonna be fun, isn't it?
my two biggest gripes right now is... Leveling up is a painful, tedious, grindy experience that makes Payday 2's infamy grinding look like a genuine joke.
It just doesn't make sense to have no XP.
And the other thing, returning skills from Payday 2 are only in their basic formats, and we can all say this right now, you weren't picking up Stockholm Syndrome for its basic effect.
What was that about Stockholm Syndrome?
Stockholm Syndrome is one of the skills that comes back, and a lot of the returning skills from Payday 2 have either been nerfed or just straight up do something different. And Stockholm Syndrome from Payday 2, let's be real, no one was picking it up for its basic effect. Everyone picked Stockholm Syndrome in Payday 2 because its aced effect was so good. But in Payday 3, it's different entirely.
Well, this was actually the original from Payday 2. It used to work like this. So you'd go down and you could call civilians over, but no one used it because it didn't work. Like, you had to have a civilian near you, and they had to be able to reach you, like, with line of sight or whatever.
And you know it means business when the almighty preacher of Stockholm Syndrome is goated, is complaining about it.
I hate how it's gone backwards. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's another point, yeah. Some of the skills that have come back have been altered to just be Dom again. I mean, some of the new ones are okay, except, let's look at the mower tree real quick, and let's look at the last skill in that. Sprint loaded, you can reload while sprinting. Congratulations, you've wasted approximately 30 hours of game time to use a skill that you could unlock in about 1 if Payday 2.
Oh, dear
Like,
me.
why would you spend so much time in a tree that gives you so many good... Like, to be fair, the mower tree seems really good on paper. You gain edge, which is the damage buff. You know, recoil damage being... weapon recoil being reduced while you have edge, that's useful. As long as you have edge, every shot from your weapon has a chance to inflict a heavy stagger. Useful. Ammo fun, as long as you have edge, ammo you pick up is directly added to your clip. Useful. And then it ends with... reload while sprinting.
Reloading.
Like, why would you have so many good, useful skills that immediately get followed up by, you can do something that should have just been a regular thing? Or like, here's a skill in the medic tree that I honestly think is useless, but I only have it to fill a point slot. Whenever a teammate is down or disabled, you gain a refresh rush. As long as you have rush, you'll pick up teammates 30% faster. It was fast anyway. Why would you need that? Also, on that other skills in the tree that make it easy to revive teammates, like Combat Medic right before it, which gives you a damage resistance and your teammate damage resistance for reviving them for 5 seconds. That's insane. So why would you ever pick up Code Blue when Combat Medic is just the superior skill? Let's ammo specialist. The ammo tree seems actually pretty good in this game. I don't really have anything to comment on. It just seems generally pretty useful. An overall like general, except plate up. That one's like grind. I think that's like the gambler tree, but just in a single skill. You know, as long as you have grit, ammo drops will instantly regenerate your current armor chunk.
I'm not sure
Congratulations.
how I feel about that one. You can just take cover and do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. The reason you'd ever want this is just if like you've got like the slightest pixel of that singular chunk, and you've got grit, so you can run into a crowd of like dead cops, pick up the ammo, get it all back, and then go back into cover. But again, like you said, you could just sit in cover and do the same thing. The infiltrator tree seems good on paper, but honestly, just kind of seems like a filler.
I haven't used it yet. I'm not sure how
kind of used it, but not really. It's basically like a semi-stealth oriented thing. Like, if you have rush, you can lockpick instantly. Throwing knives won't break on impact with the environment, so you can pick them back up. As long as you have rush, you bag loot 50% faster. Throwing knives will ricochet up to 2 times. Using throwables have a chance to be replenished after they're destroyed. 20% chance. Escapist is a tree that, again, sounds good on paper, but is a tree you'd only ever need 2 skills from, which is... Escape is basic, which is sprint for 3 seconds, gain rush, and the final skill, your base movement speed is 10% faster by default. Like, why would you ever use the other skills in the tree when that just clearly makes it better? I mean, to be fair, battering ram seems good. As long as you have edge, grit, or rush, you can sprint through locked doors and breach them, but again, that's situational at best. Demolitionist seems like a good tree.
Generally though, I think even though Payday 3 has a lot of misgivings, like things that have gone backwards and whatnot, it does have potential, and I believe it will be like the next successor once they sort themselves out. Once they get everything, like the offline mode, I know they said it's just on the table and kind of on the back burner, but I believe it will more than likely save the game, and they might even get into positive reviews again.
I want them to get into positive reviews again.
Because I really do enjoy the game, like, even though we've said a lot of shit about it on the podcast here, but it really is enjoyable to play.
It's not a bad game, it's a flawed game.
I mean, even Payday 2 had its flaws.
I'm not denying that by even a moment. I will 100% like sit on that podium forever. Payday 2 is a very inherently flawed game.
I think people are being quite overly harsh though as well, but I'm not saying it's not unjustified, because it is. They've gone backwards in so many things, and it's pissed too many people off.
Yeah, no, like I was saying earlier, when we were on earlier, the entirety of Payday 3 is 1 step forward, 3 steps back.
Yeah, pretty much.
It is the one, to me, it's the biggest contradiction of the century. It is such a contradictory game. It emphasizes one element and then completely ignores another that is integral to it.
Like, even just the armor, why is the suit unlocked like level 18 or something, I believe it is? Why do you start with, why?
The standard lining is the light ballistic lining, I think, is what you start with, which is the one has 1 strip of armor. The standard lining is 2, but you unlock that later than the medium one.
Also, like, even just looking through the inventory, like, there's no Molotov cocktail or anything. It's like literally flashbang, grenade, throwing knife, smoke bomb, and the smoke bomb isn't even as useful as the Sicario smoke bomb.
Actually, I will say, mollies weren't added until a certain update in Payday 2. So fire wasn't even a proper thing in Payday 2 yet. So I'll cut that. I'll let that slide.
They need to like learn from these things though. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
added until later in Payday 2, but Payday 3 can look at that and think. Like I was looking at a post someone made on the forums, and they were like, why couldn't they look at what Payday had done instead of just trying to reimagine the whole franchise?
Yeah, I think that's like my biggest problem with Payday 3. It is the fact that it is just it's acting like it knows what it is, but it's ignoring everything that made it special to begin with.
Like even
Like that's what it feels to me.
even the armor system, I think the armor system's okay, but it's like for me personally, once you start taking damage in an armor chunk, I would have been like allowed the player to immediately regenerate all of that armor chunk instead of like the system now. It takes a percentage of your armor away that you can't regenerate anymore, and once the chunk is gone, it goes on to the next chunk. But why can't you just regenerate the whole chunk
Yeah.
instead of like? It's just some of the decisions they've made have been very questionable.
I mean, right. I'm gonna like make two very big comparisons, so I'm probably gonna sound very weird here, but I feel like there's less freedom of choice in Payday 3. I feel very bottlenecked in
Oh,
teams.
for
and
sure,
certain
for
weapons.
sure. There's a lot less things you can do.
Now, yes, it is the start of the game. Don't get me wrong, but even let's just take into consideration for a moment that, again, like you said, it had all the opportunities in the world to look back at what Payday 2 did right and go, how can we improve this at launch?
It doesn't even tell you what weapons are primary and secondaries as well.
I would have, yeah, that's another thing. Let's just take an example. When I did my 12-hour charity stream, I used a LMG leech build for Birth of Sky, right?
Mhm.
But the thing is, I had so many options of primary and secondary and throwables. I had so many options for weapons that I could have used, and it gave me. I wasn't overwhelmed at all. I stuck with what I had because I knew it, because I had a chance to play other stuff to get familiar. But because of the leveling system, I can't use something to get familiar with it. I can't experiment with, alright, let's try this scope with this mag, with this grip. I just have to level it up and pray that I can use a weapon that I don't enjoy to make it something I do enjoy. Which I don't think is good.
I never understood the whole weapon leveling system. Like, your character needs to know how to use a gun to attach things onto it. Like, what? You know?
Aren't these, like, that makes no sense in the terms of the, like, not only just generally what the hell, but also the Payday law. Like, hold on, you're telling me that an ex-militant, a genuine psychopath, an absolutely god-tier mastermind who's an absolute demon with a deagle, and a sharpshooter doesn't know how to use a gun that they've been doing for the past 20 years. I'm sorry?
Yeah, exactly. It really does make you question things.
Like, when we got the I remember when we got the Hotline Miami crossover in Payday 2, the weapons that we got given had attachments with them, and it was down to us how we experimented with them. But I feel like when we get new weapons here, it's gonna feel more like, okay, now cool, we got a new weapon, now we'll have to wait like 16 hours to get it fully upgraded. Whereas, like, in Payday 2, it's like, okay, I have this rifle. What can I do with this rifle? Oh, do you want to put a bigger mag on it so it has more bullets in the clip, but increases your detection risk? Do you want to remove the handguard so it looks a little thinner? Do you want to add a new type of attachment on the front? New, like, muzzle flash? Like, stuff that just works, right? But here it's like, oh, you're not a high enough level for that. Stop it. It's got a similar vibe to me, like the perk deck system, but it's nowhere near as good. Like, instead of it being like, oh, you're leveling up the perk deck, you're learning how to use the perks of this deck. Like like it's like the heist is learning how to like adapt themselves to this new strategy. Here, it's just they've been given amnesia. They've been given a frontal lobotomy.
I've just noticed something peculiar about the skill system as well. The thing I've noticed, you know the final tier skill you can get.
Yes, I do. What about it?
You can get it on its own without the entire tree,
Yeah, that's like the main thing, right?
but you can't get the sub skills without
Without
the
the first
first
skill in that
skill.
Yeah, so for example, if I get rid of Escapist, the first skill, I can still use the ending skill, but I can't select anything without Escapist basic.
That is
Whereas I can have
Pe-
Swift, like, on its own, which is actually really dumb.
that's peculiar to say the
So,
least.
actually, yeah, let's talk about this in terms of gameplay styles and how we like to play Payday 2. I'm a sharpshooter. If I had to properly roleplay and properly get into my role on a team of heisters, I'd be the sharpshooter and the strategist. I'd normally be the person sat in the background, either picking people off or right in their faces, whilst also improvising on the spot. And sharpshooter to me in Payday 3 feels worse than Payday 2. Because in Payday 2, Graze was really good on an AR or a sniper. Because you could turn the AR into single fire mode and tap fire it to semi-auto, which would make it really effective at taking down targets your team can't. So you could have a non-armor piercing weapon suddenly armor pierce. But here it's like you need the cutting shot skill to do that. Now, yes, you needed Sniper Graze aced to do that in Payday 2, but here's the difference. A skill in Payday 2 that would have been considered useless is different here. Speed aim increases your ADS and scope speed. That benefits with Sharpshooter aced. Scoping in gives you a buff. Long shot, as long as you have edge and are aiming down sight, distant penalties do not apply to headshot multipliers. You don't lose damage for hitting faraway targets. That's genius. But then you immediately compare it to, let's say, Enforcer. People that like shotguns. It has nothing to do with the weapon class it's aiming for.
Yeah, I don't use Enforcer with shotguns. I use it for assault rifles.
That's what I mean. Sharpshooter works perfectly for people that like using rifles, like me. But Enforcer is the shotgun tree, and it does not benefit shotguns at all.
Yeah, it's literally got a picture of a shotgun as well.
And yet, I find more people are using it, like, literally, look at this, solid. As long as you're both edge and grit, you're immune to stagger effects. Sounds perfect for a shotgun, right? But the AR has a higher DPS, so why would you just use that instead? People are going to naturally use what does the most damage, right? You'd be much rather using the gunslinger tree with a shotgun. The tree designed to be used with the revolver.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because it'll give you hipfire bonuses.
Shotgun gunslinger tank sounds more appealing in Payday 3 than Enforcer tank in Payday 3. Whereas if you said that to a Payday 2 player, they'd slap you across the face. Because Shotgun Enforcer tank in Payday 2 is busted as hell. But in Payday 3, you'll die so fast. Like here, on my current AR build that uses armor, I have tank basic and extra plates just so I can carry 6 charges in the armor bag.
I've just got that myself as well.
That's like, but I'm pairing it with Sharpshooter Aced, Escapist Basic, and Swift, along with Quick Draw, because Quick Draw on an AR is good. Like, why wouldn't you want to swap weapons faster? It saves you in life. But I also have Mower Basic and Suppressive Fire Basic, because they're good skills. That's the thing. I think Payday 3's skill system is more about what complements what. It's less about Payday 2 where you'd make a definitive build. Here it's more what complements the weapon the best.
I think
So
there is a lot of potential out of this, actually. Out of Payday
There
3's
is.
skill system.
I'd want more skills that do completely... I want gameplay changing skills. I don't want, like, slight alterations. I want stuff that just straight up changes. I want a perk deck skill system. I want something that completely changes how you play the game.
I want the tank tree to actually let you regenerate full chunks of armor instead of the system that we have.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but the tank tree has the worst final skill out of all of them, disengage. Just so you have an idea of how bad it is. You know the shockproof skill and Counter-Strike.
Yeah,
Ace?
I was literally just about to say Counter-Strike, yeah.
Why would they make those two skills the one thing and make them fundamentally worse than their original counterparts? Wow, 5 seconds?
And
Shockproof
only
Basic
once
gave you-
per heist as well.
Shockproof Basic gave you 30 seconds, I'm pretty sure. Wait, did it actually? I need to check that. What is Shockproof?
No,
I never
Shockproof,
used it.
it just allowed you to instantly free yourself.
Oh, that's even better than what I was saying.
It was 30% for the basic form, and then instant for the
I was getting percentages. I was replacing percentages with seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. That's my point though. Why would they fuse two skills and then make them just straight up worse?
Like, why once per heist as well? That is idiotic.
Like what? Did they suddenly get amnesia from being tased or dropkicked? Like, they're old, but they're not ancient. These people are still professionals. Why the hell are they getting, like, literally, like... It's like, literally, it is just 1 step forward, 3 steps back. For every one good idea, there are 3 bad ones. Sprint loaded. Reload while sprinting. That is god-awful for a final skill. That's a skill you'd put at the very start of the tree, not the end. You know what I'd replace sprint loaded with in the Moa tree?
What's that?
I'd replace it with replenish. As long as you have edge, you automatically pick up ammo dropped by enemies you have killed.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense.
It's worth the same amount of XP. It is quite literally worth the same. It is not different. It is the same fucking... Sharpshooter gets worse the further you go and then ends on a high note, which is really weird. Because, right, Sharpshooter basic, stand still for 1.5 seconds while aiming down sights or scopes and gain edge. Performing a headshot while aiming down will refresh your edge. Infinite damage buff, right? And straight after, collateral control. Immediately, naders and tasers, their weak points will not affect teammates when you shoot them. That's brilliant! And then right after, long shot, as long as you have edge and are aiming down sights, no more damage fall off. Even better. Precision shot. Aiming down scopes, your shot will consume your edge, but when this happens, your shot will do extra damage based on the scope magnification. So it gives you a reason to try the other scopes. And then cutting shot, as long as you have edge, your armor penetration is increased, meaning that you can one-tap shields. You know what, no, screw what I said. The whole tree is perfect. It is the best iteration of Sharpshooter the series has ever seen. But then right after you have Escapist, where you're only picking it up for Escapist Basic and Swift. Because everything else are stuff that you don't need. Like, oh, you balanced. Oh, you can not get staggered by people because you have Rush.
I mean, the slide tackle one sounds fun, if I'm honest.
It sounds fun, but you want to know why I'm, like, saying this?
Why?
I'm pretty sure the tank tree does the same thing. No, it doesn't. Hang on. I saw something earlier that was like you can't get staggered by something. Yeah, Hardy. As long as you have at least one armor chunk, any flashbang, stagger, and stun effect duration you suffer is lowered by 50%.
Yeah, that's alright, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, why would you ever want balanced when the first skill in the tank tree does the same job, but like, oh, but you won't have to like get rid of a thing to do it, and it's like, well, let's be real, Rush isn't really that big of a deal in the first place.
Unless
like, if
you're
you're
wearing the heaviest armor, maybe.
Yeah, that's kind of my point. It's like softcore anarchist. Actually, move and cover is by far the most useless skill in the game, reading it. If you have edge available and Vault or Mantle, it's consumed and you gain or refresh grit. What? What situation does that serve? What move, like, oh yes, I want the damage reduction when I'm not being shot at. I'd much rather turn that into when you vault in gunfire, you gain grit. So that way you get a damage reduction. So then when you actually make the vault, you're not gonna die when you hit the ground. Slide tackle, again, like you said, sounds fun. Battering ram is situational, put it simply. Because most of the cops will have unlocked the doors already. Oh no, cops can't do that, I don't think. Can they? They probably can.
No, they can't. They can unlock them, but they can't lock them.
Yeah. And plus, everything after Gunslinger is stealth focused. Besides Infiltrator. That's just weird though, right? Like, why?
No, there's Tactician there as well, for loud trading and things.
Oh yeah, Tactician. Engineer is an interesting one.
And secrecy, yeah.
And Engineer is like interesting for the fact that it's a concept that was never really implemented that well in Payday 2, I'll be real. The sentries are fun, but they aren't very good anymore.
I haven't tried them yet. That's something I need to do.
I've tried them, and I'll actually admit they're a lot of fun. Generally, my whole take on Payday 3 as a whole is the game's fine, it's serviceable, but it's not Payday. It's every modern shooter with Payday skin. There's no charm to it, if you know what I mean.
See, I didn't get that. To me, it's like, the next Payday heisting game. It doesn't feel like, Call of Duty or whatever.
To me, it's quite the opposite. It feels serious, but it feels too serious. Like Payday the Heist was serious, but there was still some funny moments and still some silliness to it. But here, it's nothing silly. There's nothing Payday about it.
Oh, that's interesting to hear you say that, because I was really getting into it,
Like, let me put it like this. In Payday the Heist, Hoxton, Chains, Wolf, and Dallas would occasionally, whenever Bane would say something, they would occasionally chime up and say something about what's just happened. And there's a sudden change of plans, or there's a sudden shift in tone. But no matter what, there was a consistent group dynamic. You could tell that these people have killed before and will kill again, and you can tell that they work together. And it doesn't feel like they're all individuals being moved by a certain someone. They feel like a unit. They feel like a group. In Payday 2, it feels less like that. You're more allowed to play individually than as a whole team, but there's still team play incentivized. But here, it feels like team play is the focus, but there's none of the group aspects. There's no skills that benefit your group, just you as a player with your deployable. Your deployable being the only method of team support. Other than that, it is you and your skills, and to me, that's what bugs me. In Payday the Heist, no matter what, if I put down my ammo bag in the manager's office on First World Bank, it was a team-focused decision for me to ask, will this benefit everyone? Is it in a good spot? And if everyone's like, yep, that's good to go, the team benefits. But here, it's like, I'll just put it down on a general central point that everyone can get to that's in cover. There's nothing Payday about Payday 3. To me, it just feels like a heisting game with Payday's characters. Shade feels bland. She's uninteresting. I tend to just ignore her.
I'll give you that one. Shade doesn't really feel like she belongs at the moment.
Hell, the only contractor that I actually feel anything with is the Butcher, believe it or not. I love Vlad. I love him being here. But he just feels like you could put him anywhere else and he'd fit in fine. But the Butcher, she feels like she's still distinctly a Payday character because she still has some funny pieces of dialogue in a synopsis of Dirty Ice. But everything else, it's just, go here, and do that. Good job. Even in Payday 2, when Bane gave his synopsis, he would still take little jabs at what personally bugged him. He felt like a character. All of the heisters felt like characters. Even the little bits of dialogue you'd hear from the character-specific moments in the heists where a certain character would say something, even if it was rare. Like, they were never talking to Bane or any of the other heisters, but if they had something to say, it still felt like they had something to say. But here, when they comment on something, it doesn't feel like they're commenting on anything specific, even when they are.
Does Payday 3 characters even say anything when they enter the vault? Actually,
No, I
no,
don't
they
think
do.
so.
I believe they do in loud, but in stealth they don't say anything.
Which is, again, like, now do you see where I'm coming from with it?
Yeah, I can see how the interaction has been lowered quite a bit.
Like, don't get me wrong, Payday 2 story was basically nails on it. It was literally darts on a dartboard, and they somehow created art. But that's what the charm of it was. You know? I loved the wacky weirdness of it. Yes, it was out there, but it still felt realistic to an extent before. Alright, I'll be perfectly real. I do not like the true ending. I like the character interactions. I love the acting, and I adore how it was written, but I do not like the execution in the slightest. I think the Secret Society stuff was cool, but it was too out there for even, like, the weird standards that Payday had. You know? The whole thing with immortal people and dentist, it was too much for me. But I'm still gonna say that it was a damn good story.
Yeah, it started to become like a COD Zombies thing, didn't it? With all the conspiracies. Yeah.
But I kind of liked the conspiracy, you know, I liked looking into the Kataru. What were they about? Who were they? And I liked Murky Water's, murky background. But here, it's just, oh, we're gonna find the conspirators who are behind all this. Why? Because you guys are gonna die. Why can't we contact everyone else? Pfft, they went somewhere. Aren't you someone that met Bane? The guy who hired an anarchist on a whim because he managed to hunt her down in less than 3 hours? Moments after she had robbed the Payday gang? You know, aren't you Mrs. I have literally run CrimeNet for ages, so I should be able to pull the same shit off? I'm sorry, but it's a problem when your prime hacker has to call in Joy to help you. I'm not saying that Joy, like, I hate Joy. I think her inclusion in the story is great, but the thing is, I think it would have been better if she on her own did it, not Shade trying to also do something. Because she's proven she can't really adapt on the fly, unlike Bane. You know, like,
I'll tell you what, it would be interesting, now you've said that, if Joy did all this hacking thing, and then later on they found Shade, and she came in as, like, behind the scenes, sort of helping out without them even knowing, you know?
Yeah. Let me give you a good comparison of why I believe Payday 3 is just Payday with, like, COD with a Payday skin. When shit hits the fan in No Rest for the Wicked, Shade has absolutely no clue what to do other than to call Bile and pray he has something for you. And then she adapts the plan on the fly. But in the Harvest Trusty Bank heist, the thermal drill is the plan no matter what. There is a plan at the very start. Yeah. No matter what, there is a plan. And regardless of where it goes, Bane is ready to adapt his crew on the fly. He is ready to tell them, right, the escape is gone, but it will be back. Just hold out while I sort some stuff out in the background. Shade, on the other hand, basically is forcing them to improvise for her. It just feels like she's telling them how to improvise while she tries her best to fix the situation, whereas Bane always had a plan, even when he was panicked. Like, even when he got kidnapped, he was still trying to do his best to keep the plan steady. Like, come on. Hell, in fucking Shadow Raid, when the heist goes loud, he's pissed off at his crew, but he's still like... Even in the ending, actually, I'm gonna say this. Have you noticed that if you fail a heist, there's no dialogue from Shade to be like, oh my god, I'll try and do my best behind the scenes.
Yeah, that doesn't happen, yeah.
Whereas Bane is literally saying to you when you fail, oh my god, guys, no, I'll try and pull some strings in the background, just hang on. Like... all this emphasis on making this the evolution, and you've somehow downgraded everything that made it special. Payday 3 is a good game, but it's not a Payday game. It is suffering the same thing that Dark Souls 2 did. Dark Souls 2 is a good game on its own, but as a Dark Souls game, it is terrible. And that's what Payday 3 is. It's a good game on its own, but it does not stand up to the Payday's title. I will tell you this right now, Payday the Heist seems like the more advanced game to me.
They should have called this Payday the pre-sequel, honestly.
Yeah, they should have done the Borderlands treatment and just called this the pre-sequel and then given us the actual Payday 3 later on. Because this is just not Payday 3.
It kind of feels like they're learning the ropes still and getting into Payday.
Yeah. Well, my question is, why did they bring on like hardly anyone who worked on 2? Anyone they could have pulled some strings, they could have called people. This was a big event. Why didn't they go all out for it?
I don't know, it's always money in the end, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what pisses me off. There's a price for passion, and unfortunately no one gave a shit. Besides everyone that did.
And because of the rocky launch as well, I feared that things are gonna get worse for Payday. Like, is the money gonna run out and they won't be able to bring any more updates in, you know?
I feel like if they don't change their attitude soon, Payday 3 is gonna be dead in the water. And we're never gonna see the true extent of what Overkill had.
We need CrimeNet, we need offline play, we don't need any of this always online nonsense that kicks you out if you lose connection. We need, like you said, more heist dialogue and interactions.
We need this game to feel like a Payday game. It needs to feel alive.
I mean, to me, like I said, it does feel like a Payday game. Like, I feel like I am robbing a bank, but it's a little rocky still, you know.
I'm not going to compare it to Payday the Heist because that's unfair, right? But comparing it to Payday 2, let's compare Golden Shark to Big Bank. Golden Shark to me is the best heist in the game. Why? Because Shade, regardless of the scenario, has a fucking plan. I am so sorry that this is the main crutch of my argument, but I'm genuinely dead serious when I say this. In Big Bang, regardless if you chose the Beast or the Thermite, Bane had a plan. And it felt like you were robbing the biggest bank you have ever robbed. It felt like you made history. And that's what Golden Shark feels like. It feels like you have walked right into the enemy's territory, robbed them blind, and pissed off into no man's land. Just like Payday 2. And that's what I want. I want this game to feel like you were a bunch of thieves who have done nothing but kill and murder for the sake of your lives. And that's what pisses me off about Payday 3.
And stand in funny Wi-Fi circles.
I'm sorry, I'm probably going to be the only person that says, but I miss the drills. I miss the drills so much.
The drills are still here.
No, they're tiny drills that don't do anything. I miss hulking a ginormous beast of a drill, but not the thermal lance. It's been downgraded since Payday 2. I mean, having to physically work with your team to coordinate a good plan to keep a ginormous hulking mass of a piece of work to keep going at a vault so you can crack it, get in, and steal the good shit. Alright? You know, I want more scenarios like Bertha Sky. I want more scenarios like Brooklyn Bank. I want more scenarios like San Martin Bank, where you can have Vlad's brother slam his car into the bank. I want more dynamic situations. If you want to make a movie-styled heist, make it big, make it bombastic, make me feel like I am in the world, immerse me. Because that's not what this game's doing. In fact, a lot of the time, I'm not even focusing on the game. It just feels monotonous to play sometimes, and that's what hurts. I don't feel invested.
Yeah, I think probably a lot of people feel the same way as well, which is why it's got mostly negative reviews. But I want it to do well, and I look forward to what it brings in the future.
I'm holding on to three major things.
What's that?
One, these DLC heists remedy what I'm saying. They bring the bombasticness, they bring dynamic situations, and they make you feel alive. Number two, they tone down a lot of things, mainly the cops. I am probably the only person that says this, and yes, this is a genuine skill issue because I'm not that good at the game, alright? But I feel like I get swamped too easily, you know? The cops feel smart, but they feel unfair. Like, it feels like Mortal Kombat 2 where they're reading exactly what you're doing and counteracting you perfectly. Like, there's no chance to succeed unless you are basically perfect. In Loud. In Stealth, it feels fine. Honestly, perfect. Stealth feels perfect. I have no gripes with it. I have problems with Loud, and I wish they'd tone it. And finally, please, for the love of God, just change everything about the menus and the systems in place. The weapon decoration system is perfect. Please keep it like this. But we did not need, I'm saying this right now, we did not need, like, here's the shop casual. Here's shop casual 2. Just leave the shop casual and let us customize it. For God's sakes, it is not rocket science. Who the shit gets excited when they hit level 66 and goes, oh boy, I unlocked shop casual 4? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even Payday 2 had a system like that. Like the gun customization system, where they had customizable options. Hell, that's the whole reason the Taylor Pack DLCs probably did so well, because people wanted new ways to customize their heisters. You know, we're in New York, aren't we? One of the richest places on Earth. Can't we have rich clothing? Why is the suit unlocked at level 50? That was a standard in both the first and second games. You know, why is the default suit trench coats? You know, not everyone likes a trench coat. And hell, Chains looks awful. I'm sorry, his clothes look awful. He's conflicting too much.
It's chilly in New York.
Yeah. I mean, the gloves I have the same gripes. Like, who the shit gets to level 79 goes, wonderful, I unlocked the Roughnecks 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone was particularly raving when they went to level 73 and went, oh boy, Striped Trainer 4, I can now be green. No, just give us the clothes and let us customize them so there's more clothing options. As in different outfits entirely that we can customize, not just here is a stock outfit that has a different colour. You know, that's why the mask system, the same deal with the mask system. More masks, please. Not this, oh, customized masks that are completely different. No, just masks. You know, that's why Payday 2 is so praised for its design, because there were so many different options to choose from.
So
That's why it worked.
How would you rate Payday 3 then out of 10?
Right now, a 3 out of 10 at best, and a 0 out of 10
Ooh.
at worst.
That's gonna sting.
I have nothing nice to say, and when I do, it's followed by something even worse, because this game's a mess. And I hate the fact that I have to say that. Like I said, I want this game to succeed. I have no interest in seeing it fail, but it's going to the way it's heading.
See, for me, judging by the things we've covered today, I would maybe give it a 6 or 7, possibly.
What would you say at best and at worst?
Best 7 and worst maybe like a 5 or a 4.5.
I'd say 4.5 just because the flaws are so glaring. This
But
game
it's really nice. I do enjoy the gameplay, and I do feel like it. Like I said earlier, like it's a Payday game, even though you don't really feel that way, and it's more like Call of Duty with a Payday skin.
I mean, like Strike said earlier, the HUD, it's just nasty.
I have
You know,
no
like,
problems
especially
with it.
in game, I just don't like how it looks. It feels generic and uninspired. It feels bland and unoriginal. It doesn't. Especially, cause, I mean, I'm probably biased because I did an entire college course based on design work, but you can't blame me for feeling this way. It just feel like Payday 2. Like, yes, don't get me wrong. I play it with mods, so yes, I can customize it. But here's the thing: the default HUD for that game had a lot of style and grace to it. You know, it looked different than other games. It felt unique, and the best part was, by default, you could see your teammates' weapons and deployables, so you could work around your team, for God's sakes. Here, I have to guess what you're running without... Like, if I don't look at the menu when we ready up, I practically have to guess what you're using.
Yeah, that is something that annoys me, actually. I have no problems with the lobby HUD, but the in-game HUD,
In-game
it
HUD
leaves a lot to be desired.
It's so fucking shit.
But, you know, sometimes simple is the best way to go. But they've made
Yeah.
it too simple that you can't see what your teammates are running, like you said.
Like, if I'm gonna be putting my faith in my teammates, I want to know what I'm working with. It's why people made mods like Vanilla HUD Plus for Payday 2, so you could see what perk decks your team was using as well. So that way you could, like, if you had a lead, like, for me as someone who loves to play as a team player, it was so useful for me because it was like, yes, this is a mod, not official, so take this with a grain of salt, please. But it was so useful being able to see what perk deck you were running. So if you were running Hacker, I could run Leech, because then it was like perfect synchronization, because they're like, oh, cool, I can abuse your Hacker stun with Leech to make sure that I can get my health back, so then when you're low, I can just Leech Ampule and heal you up.
They should have made that mod a standard in Payday 3, I feel.
Yeah, honestly, they should have implemented a lot of mods for Payday 2 as regular mechanics in Payday 3. Like, viewing simple things, like just change the game slightly, makes all the difference. Because I'm genuinely serious, I can't play without Vanilla HUD Plus now, because it genuinely is such a useful thing. But I mean, my biggest gripe with the whole menu system for weapons is, please tell me what secondary mod is. And I bought the fucking Ziv Commando thinking it was a secondary because it was small, and that's how it was in Payday 2.
Wait, is it not?
No, it's a
is
primary.
it not a secondary?
Yeah. The Ziv Commando is a primary.
Oh Jesus Christ!
It's tiny. It's a
It looks like a new
one-handed weapon.
I thought it was a secondary.
Nope, I bought it thinking it was a secondary because it looked like it.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I've finally gotten everything about Payday 3 off my chest. I think I'm done ranting.
Yeah, that was a hell of a long rant, that, like, wasn't it? How long did we go for there? 2 hours?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Jesus. It's going to be a long video. But we hope you've enjoyed the podcast and listening to our based opinions.
I call them fucking why. Yeah, I guess I'm not gonna self-promote, so I'm not gonna say anything about my channel.
Hey, I'll promote your channel if you want.
I mean,
Go and
yes,
subscribe to Fang
Fang,
on YouTube.
put like a link or something in the description.
Everybody,
yeah.
get to the description right now.
Right,
Subscribe to Fang.
Yeah, and I'll do my part by saying, join the BOF agency and make us an empire. All right,
One
we've
of
got
us,
things to do.
One of us. One of
We've
us.
We've got things to do, and making more deserts is one of them.
Hell yeah! Worship the sun god. All praise be.
Sure. What's the sun good? Then.
Huh?
Well, you know, my whole thing is like, I like deserts, and get me wrong, but I'm more of like a water person. And wet. I mean, to be fair, actually no. To be fair, it works.
Heresy!
No, to be fair, it works because if you throw wet sand at someone, it's like throwing a rock at them.
Speaking from experience.
Yes, speaking from experience. Both the receiver and the giver.
Oh Jesus!
Just know that water and sand complement each other. Don't know. They do. After all, what is at the bottom of the ocean?
Sand.
Exactly. It's actually, to be fair, that technically make every ocean surface creature a desert creature, like a crab.
Let's not think too much about that.
Weirdly off topic. All right. So yeah. Subscribe to Alternator Person. Join the BOF agency. There'll probably be a link for it somewhere down below. Subscribe to me. I'll also be in the description. I'll have my own discussion video that'll probably be an hour long on just console Payday 3 and a general thoughts of more personalized thoughts, so less like collective, more individual. Keep in mind, subjective thoughts can affect objective facts, so if something objectively is impacted negatively or positively, understand it came from a subjective mind.
If that makes any sense, because I'm sure as hell didn't understand it.
Essentially, take everything that we said with a grain of salt. Just because we don't like a certain mechanic about the game doesn't mean that you have to as well.
Pretty much.
There are things that are wrong with the game that we think are wrong with the game, and there are flaws in the system generally. But those flaws are also implemented by someone's thought. So if you like that flaw, you won't think of it as one. That's kind of the point. An objective thing can become subjective given the context.
I see. That makes sense now.
But yeah, generally keep in mind everything said with a grain of salt. These are thoughts, these are opinions, not facts. So
no, these are facts, solid facts. Right now, everybody listen to everything we're saying. This is the honest truth. I mean, what?
Going on that, beat your head over with a rock. Anyway, yeah, that's the end of thingy.
Yay!
I had fun.